All right, lunch break live stream, volume 10, which is crazy that this is the 10th. So Merry Christmas to everybody. This will be our final lunch break before the Christmas holiday, and things have been really windy here, which is a foreshadow to what we're going to be talking about today. But a couple housekeeping things, okay? Again, now through the end of the month, 10% back in store credit on every purchase in store and online. No exclusions, no limits, and that credit is good for an entire year, 365 days from their day of purchase. So pretty exciting stuff. So if you are going to make that big purchase for somebody or for yourself, now is the time to do it. So when you get that Christmas money from for Christmas, come in and buy a T-board with it, okay? Because then you'll get 10% back in store credit on it, or whatever reel you'd like, or a Mako. You buy a $2,000 Mako, Adam, guess what? You get $200 back in store credit. So there's a lot of money back. So in other news, for those of you that aren't in state here, it's cold. So I have my I have a like a jacket on today, and I haven't taken it off yet. Actually, that's how warm it's been. Is the chat up on there?
Yeah, nobody. It's okay. On that side.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I just want to know where to look. So today I'm a Hermano with my Haller Brothers stuff. So
looks like a watermelon.
It does kind of look like a watermelon, or like a turkey.
Yeah, turkey.
Like a turkey tail. So a couple interesting things. If you didn't get a chance to watch last week, go back and watch last week. We go through our gift guide for Christmas. So for the fly fisherman or for the fly tyer in your life, something that I didn't put on the gift guide, but I should have, but we didn't have them last week, but we do, is the little 4-ounce Yeti espresso cups. So I mean, if you have an espresso or an espresso machine, there's nothing cooler than a ceramic lined 4-ounce $20 espresso cup, right?
Makes your $5 cup taste better.
It does. So yep. So, and it's reusable. So no better way to tell someone that you love them except with a $20 espresso cup. So go back, watch that. Also, we posted a video yesterday. Dave, you guys got introduced to Dave, who works here. You've heard me talk about Dave before. Dave's fly tying videos. Looks like there's a comment up there. But Dave's videos, so we got introduced to Dave. He did a fly tying video, tied an electric dread, which is a really cool bonefish fly. And go back and watch that. Get introduced to Dave. He's extremely talented fly tyer and a really awesome addition for us here at the shop. Adam, do we have a question?
Thank you, Willie. Chat's good. Nickstagram, what's up? Say hi to Nickstagram.
Oh, hey, Nick. How are you? Nickstagram. I'm guessing your name's Nick, because Nickstagram is a giveaway. He did just buy something from him. But Tailwater T-bores, there's still some available, and not a lot, though. We have 2 Everglades left, and then they're gone forever, and I didn't even buy one. So
Aaron Hernandez gone forever.
Yeah, gone forever, Aaron Hernandez. But the theme for our life when it comes to fishing has been not fishing, because this is the busiest time of the year for us, but it has been really, really windy here. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to go over some like gear stuff, some tips, some techniques to try and just make the most of your day on the water, because some of the best fishing is when it's windy. It's not always going to be slicked off and calm, nor do you always want it. Nor do you don't always want it to be slicked off and calm and sunny, because the fish get really, really spooky. My favorite is slicked off and overcast, though, like when it's low tide and the redfish are tailing, or when it's tarpon season and it's slicked off and overcast and you can still see them swimming, but they're really happy, and that's my favorite. So, but yeah, those are the couple housekeeping things. I asked Branson to bring me something, so when he brings it, I was going to show you guys. But our Christmas shirts.
Oh yeah.
Could you go grab one for me really quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go grab me one for me really quick.
I'll grab you.
Thank you. So, it's going to be windy sometimes, and there's a few things that can help with with fighting with the wind, but you don't have to fight with the wind. So just remember, the wind is not not necessarily always a bad thing. So couple things though to think about and consider when you're in the wind. One is like I like to fish 7 weights and 8 weights for the majority of stuff around here, but if it's really windy, a lot of times I will go with that 8 weight just to give me a little bit more mass in the line. I'm not a big fan of going like super crazy with the wind, but the 8 weight just makes it a little bit easier to cast with the wind, a little bit more mass on the line and those things. But just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, and then if you guys have questions, you can obviously add them to the you can put them on the chat, and then Adam will let me know. But a couple of things just to talk about that. Hey, you don't have to have like a you don't have to have like a wind setup, but a couple things that can help. Okay, one, we fish in the wind here as much as we fish when it's not windy. Okay, we almost prefer it to be a little bit of a breeze, but one of the things that I like to do is I use a shorter headed fly line. Okay, not making 100-foot casts is something that happens, but not something that is needed all the time. I think we had another question too, Adam, but not something that happens all the time, but or a comment, but I like to use a shorter headed fly line. So you guys have heard me talk about this line, rave about this line, and it is basically the line that we designed our line out of, but he just got it for me. Thank you, though. Thanks for visiting the live stream, Branson. You want to come say hi really quick?
Yeah, I do. I do want to come say hi.
Come say hi. You ever been on the Fly Shop Lunch?
This is nice. Yeah, I'm not allowed to do these things. Hello.
Hello.
Wow. I feel like I entered like the big shot life of the Fly Shop side.
I'm a Hermano.
Patagucci.
Yeah, I'm a Hermano today.
Hermano C.
Yeah, C.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to work.
Maybe I can have you guest star on the lunch break, and I can guest star on your podcast.
Tell them about the podcast.
Branson, can you tell them about the podcast really fast?
Right, yeah, let's stroll down.
We have a fun new podcast.
This live stream was sponsored by
Fishing is a Simulation.
Fishing is a Simulation.
Yeah, so Fishing is a Simulation is our new podcast that Andrew and I are doing. It is interesting. I could say that's the best way to explain it. So for the first half of the podcast, we talk about a fishing either style, a trip that we took, or just a different aspect of fishing. Like the last one we talked about was our setups and like why we use them. And
the week before you guys talked about like growing up fishing.
Yeah, growing up, pond hopping, doing stuff like that. So it's really fun because we talk about things that a lot of people did when they were younger and then what they're doing now. And then the second half of the podcast is when it gets weird. We talk about a conspiracy. So last week we talked about Bigfoot.
You guys have talked.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the things you've talked about. You talked about Operation High Jump.
Operation High Jump.
When the Nazis made a deal with the aliens for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
You've talked about Bigfoot.
Yep. Bigfoot.
You've talked about the Tocoboga tribe.
Yes. Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove.
Yep.
Dave Portnoy.
Yes. And then we are filming the next podcast today.
Can the people get a sneak peek of what the?
Yes. So we're going to be talking about wintertime inshore tactics.
Okay.
And then we're going to be talking about cryptids in the sea. So like megalodon and giant squid and whatnot. So
giant squid's real.
They are real.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, though, think about this. So if a 100-foot squid could evade us, why can't a 100-foot shark evade us?
Well, I watched a Mark Rober video and it was talking about octopi, which I think squid and octopus like related.
I think they're cephalopods, yeah.
Yeah, they're like related.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and like how smart that little octopus was.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if a 100-foot squid has figured out a way.
I'm going to talk about this because in fossil records there are certain things that show that giant squid and octopus created what they call a bone ring around their house.
Yeah.
And did you read about this?
I've heard about how they do this.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So that's what we're going to talk about, and then megalodons as
Where can they find you? What's the name?
Fishing is a Simulation.
Adam will link it in the description.
Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
Anywhere you watch podcasts.
Anywhere.
Or listen.
Yeah. Hey, friends. Yeah. Listen to
it's
it.
Spotify.
Spotify.
It's Apple Music. It's YouTube. It's Amazon. It's everywhere.
Man,
Yeah, everywhere.
we're legit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
wow. I'm so proud of us.
You guys are legit. We talk to your 40 subscribers every week.
hey.
We're
Hey,
growing.
the fact that you guys have 40, all this,
I mean,
you
it's
guys
pretty
just started.
impressive. Yeah. So yeah, listen to it.
Adam will link the channel in the description down
in.
below. But yeah, so if you like fishing and you like to get a little weird, then
Which we all do.
yeah, then fishing as a simulation is. What else is a simulation?
Honestly, anything could be a simulation. Yeah, life could be a simulation. That's
Yeah.
another
Have you ever
topic.
seen your neighbors take groceries out?
Think about that.
grocery
Yeah.
picking?
When was the last time you saw your neighbors get groceries?
Yeah. Well,
Never.
never.
All right, I'm out here.
All right. Thank you, Branson.
Yes, you're welcome.
So, yeah, fishing is a simulation that is available on their very own YouTube channel. We like them, but we're not going to claim them enough to put them on our YouTube channel, so we made them
That'd be dangerous.
But, yeah, fishing is a simulation with Branson, who is our, if you guys don't know Branson is our store manager here at Tailwater Outfitters for us, and then my brother Andrew manages our in-store day-to-day together with Branson, and so but they're also childhood best friends. I mean, we kind of all are, which is why it's cool that we get to work together. But Andrew and Branson are childhood best friends. Got into some trouble, did some shenanigans together growing up. They are both children with children now, and Branson's a new dad. So yeah, watch that. So back to it. Probably going to start over completely on the stuff. But one more thing, why Branson came in here originally was to bring this for me. These are our...
Wow, that was quick. Nixogram, and thank you for the subscription.
There you go. Next, thank you. These are our Tailwater Ugly Christmas shirts. So you guys can see those. It says Merry Christmas from Tailwater. Santa's sleigh being pulled by some tarpon, and then obviously the redfish, which is the play on Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. But yeah, Merry Christmas from Tailwater. And then has the Tailwater logo. Can you see the Tailwater logo wrapped in Christmas lights? Yeah, wrapped in Christmas lights. So if you want to stop in and grab one for your ugly sweater party, or if you want to buy one for next year for an ugly sweater party, because there's nothing worse than going to an ugly sweater party. There's nothing worse than going to an ugly sweater party. No, but there's nothing worse than going to an ugly sweater party when it's 85 degrees outside and you're wearing that itchy thing. So ugly sweater shirts from Tailwater. Well, you can rep us, you can rep your ugly sweater, and it gets taken care of. So that is that. I don't really know how I'm supposed to go after Branson's talk, but we will. We will move on. We will trek on. So back to fishing in windy situations. Okay, I like to use a shorter headed fly line for the most part when I'm fishing. So that Orvis saltwater tropic line, you guys hear me talk about it. You guys hear me rave about it. It's like beating a dead horse. But I truly believe that it is the best all around saltwater fly line that is out there for my style of fishing here, which is. If it's really calm and slicked off, the nice thing about it is the line is still true to grain weight and light, that I can open the loop up and I can land a fly soft. But if that wind picks up, what I can do is I can just get that shooting head out of the rod tip and I can get a ton of line speed with it because it's a shorter head, and that line shoots extremely well. It doesn't have to be heavy to do it. So, so setting yourself up, I really like an all-around setup, because not all of us are going to A, be able to, or B, want to have, 12 different setups on the boat, right? So being able to change your style is that. But just some quick tips that are aside from gear that can help, okay?
Real quick.
Yes.
Just let them know I'm going to switch some audio, make sure, try and get some pops out of there.
Adam's going to switch some audio to try and get some pops out of there. I can see the thing moving.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, now we're back. So a couple things that can help, okay? So when the wind picks up, if you can, whether you're wading on foot or whether you're on a boat, one of the most important things is, one of the hardest cast to make is not the wind into you. It's the wind into your casting shoulder. So for me, I cast with my right hand. So the wind into me from my right side is the worst because it blows the fly line and the fly back towards me. Okay. So if I can, what I will do is if I can't switch my position, I will back cast so that it's blowing the fly and the fly line away from me. Or if I'm on the skiff trying to maneuver the boat for whoever's on the back, trying to move it for me, or if I'm on the back, setting it up for them so that the wind is not blowing the fly and the fly line into them. Okay, that's probably the worst thing that can happen. That's definitely the hardest shot to make, hardest cast to have. And so, a lot of people think that a downwind shot is the easiest. Well, a downwind shot is, can be just as hard as an into the wind shot because your back cast is into the wind. So, just setting yourself up with the wind, I really prefer, the wind to be blowing away from my casting shoulder, not into my casting side. That's something that helps. So whether you combat that by being able to turn to have a shot at a different angle or back casting, there's a couple ways that you can do that. Another tip that you can do is when it's really windy, I try and carry less line in the air. Okay, so what does that mean? I try and have less line out of the rod tip. So on the fly shot page, we have a short that talks about casting in the wind. But if it's really calm and really slicked off, then I like to carry a ton of line out of the rod tip as much as I can. And basically, I'm shooting a minimal amount of line. If I'm making a 50-foot cast, I basically have 40-something feet of line out of the rod tip, and I'm just going to set it down to where if it's really windy and I'm making a 50-foot cast, I might carry that 30-foot shooting head or whatever out of the rod tip and then shoot 20 feet of line because I'm really trying to get line speed. And I'm going to be really aggressive with my hauls. My haul on the way back is just as important as my haul on the way through, and really trying to get as much line speed as possible. And that's just another tip that I think. So when it's windy, try and shoot more line. When it's calm, try and carry more line in the air, shoot less line. The reason is because when you're shooting line, it's not going to land nearly as soft as when you just are carrying the line and setting it down. So, but in the wind, there's only so much you can do, and it doesn't matter as much of being so quiet all the time because there's a lot of noise that the wind makes. So, another thing that can help just with certain things is throwing a much sparser fly. So if it's blowing 20 miles an hour, throwing a gurgler is probably not the best choice. Throwing a big-bodied Merkin-style crab fly, it's going to be a little bit tougher to do. Sometimes that's what you need to throw, but I would probably stay away from something like a gurgler in the wind, okay? So go to something more like a Clouser style or a Quan style or, a little shrimp pattern, okay? Something that is going to cut through the wind, not grab a ton of air. That's just another thing that helps. And then maybe going to a little bit shorter leader. So I fish, 12 to 13 foot leaders on almost everything, but going to a 9 or 10 foot leader, that's going to help some, just because then the fly is closer to the fly line, which means that the mast is closer. So it's just going to make it easier to turn it over. And, I think that having a little bit shorter leader is something that can help quite a bit.
Did you talk about hard racing?
I did not talk about the leader setup yet. So something that also can help in the wind, if you tie your own leaders, okay? If you don't tie your own leaders, you should. But if you tie your own leaders, using a piece of hard monofilament as the butt section or even as that secondary section can help. So on an 8-weight, normally I would put a piece of like 40-pound Andes on, or 40-pound saltwater mono, not hard mono. But if it's really windy, what I might do is I might switch to a 40-pound hard monofilament, like a Mason hard mono as my butt section. That's just going to add some serious rigidity. It's going to add some rigidity to the leader and just make it so that it wants to straighten out. Like it wants to transfer that energy. It wants to turn over. Where a leader that's really soft, it might get caught up in the wind and all those sorts of things. And then the next advice or tip I would give you for practicing or for fishing in the wind is you got to practice casting into the wind. So if you are somebody that's just getting into fly fishing and you spin fish, the worst thing you can do is take both rods with you, okay? Because when it's windy out, I have people in here all the time, well, I always take my spin rod with me because if it gets windy, I want to have it. Well, you're never going to get better at casting or fishing. There's a difference between casting and fishing, but you're never going to get better at fishing or casting in windy conditions if you don't practice it. And that's something that, you know, for me growing up, what I did was I would go wade at a cove. We talked about this by my parents' house. The whole cove is basically like, at low tide, it's like a foot deep. At high tide, it's like 2.5 feet deep, just depending, but that was normal in there. And I would just walk around my fly rod in there. And I was waiting, so I didn't take a second setup with me, and that's where I learned to cast a fly rod. But then how I learned to cast in windy conditions was because that was the only rod I had, and when the wind picked up, it was either I can figure this out or I can go home. So just those couple things, right? A, I like to use a shorter head fly line. B, I like to use a little bit of a sparser fly when it's windy. So trying to stay away from anything that has foam on it or top water or gurgler or a really big bushy body, because that's going to grab a lot of wind. Shooting more line when it's windy, right? Trying not to maybe carry as much line in the air. So shooting more line when it's windy. Really aggressive on your hauls. So, and really just trying to position yourself, right? So that wind isn't, you know, onto your casting shoulder. So the wind is blowing the fly line and the fly away from that. And, you know, and then, or back casting. So that's kind of the on foot type stuff. So all of those things also work if you are on a skiff, but let's maybe talk about some additional things that would be good, you know, for if you are someone that has a skiff or you're fishing on a skiff, okay? When you're fly fishing, the most important thing besides being able to cast is line management, because as all of us would know, anything that fly line can get tangled on, it will get tangled on, okay? So making sure that you have a nice clean setup, you don't have a bunch of stuff, like if you have a Yeti cooler as like a casting platform or as a seat in front of you, as like a jump seat in front of your console, you know, make sure that those the rubber handles that stick out, the T-shaped, like you can flip those around so they are more flush, like do that because fly line will get caught on those, you know, those sorts of things. But some other things that can help for line management is a stripping bucket. So Carbon Marine makes a stripping bucket that is, you know, a really, really quality product, good heavy base on it. And basically what you do with that is that's where you keep your fly line when you're not fishing. So you strip all your line into there, and then when you're ready to cast and take a shot at that, you're not necessarily aiming to strip back into there, especially for tarpon fishing. Another thing that I really like is the line spikes. So a lot of these companies make spikes that are adhesive, and you can stick them around the whole front part of your boat, and that keeps the fly line from falling into the water. Because we all know that when fly line falls into the water and you're not noticing and it stretches all the way back to the length of the boat, trim tabs literally have like a fly line magnet on them. And I don't know how many times I've gotten my line caught on a trim tab, Adam, but it's a lot of times. So, and Adam's normally the one that has to get down there and get it off. But just having those things is really good. The other thing that we can that is important, especially if you're on the front of a skiff, because wind doesn't just bring wind. What's the other W word that wind can bring, Adam?
Water.
Well, yeah, and waves, right? But waves are made out of water, so yes, you're technically right. So wind and waves. So especially during tarpon season, okay? You guys are getting me talking. I'm talking about tarpon season. It's only December. That's a dangerous thing, but I'm ready for it already. But when you're out there, especially that late afternoon summer pattern, to where it's nice and calm in the morning, then you get a little bit of the breeze, and then around lunchtime that west wind, that sea breeze really picks up, and that's that real like hot, wet, moist wind that blows in off the Gulf of Mexico. And when that lines up with an outgoing tide, it can get pretty snotty out there. And so having something like, and if you have a casting platform, then you're not going to be standing on it when that happens. So having something that you can lean up against is extremely important. So
Did you see the thumbnail I used?
I didn't. Oh, well, if you saw the thumbnail in the picture, you see I'm on my buddy Captain Tommy Caloris's boat, and he has a leaning post that I like to lean forward into. But having something that I can lean into, you guys can see the conditions there. We were tarpon fishing. I actually I think I actually hooked a fish like right after that, or that was the cast. Let's for purposes of the video, let's just say I hooked a giant tarpon on that cast that
Over
you see
200
right
pounds.
there. Yeah, it was definitely over 200 pounds. It would have broken the record. No, I don't say that. No, I don't say that sort of stuff. But I do fish IGFA legal, so it was a 16 pound class. But no, but it was it was snotty out there. But that's what happens. That water turns a little bit dusty, and the fish turn on, and they like to eat when that happens. So we stay out there and we ride it out. Tommy has an 18-foot Chittum. It's a really nice boat. It's a really light boat, which means the water moves it. And so having something that I can lean against is really great. So Tommy has a custom platform like that made that I can lean into. But what we fish on our skiff, we have a Maverick 18. What we fish on our skiff is a black tip fabrication Emperor stool. Okay, link in the description. And the Emperor stools are basically like the coolest bar stool that you've ever seen. Okay, but they're all aluminum legs, fully welded aluminum legs, and has a padded seat on it, and you attach that to the same way to the front of your skiff that you would your casting platform. Okay, and the nice thing about that is you can stand behind it and lean into it, or you can be behind it and basically lean on it, almost like a bike seat on a bass boat. And the nice thing about that is having something to lean on or maybe prop yourself up on, it takes some stress off the back. But when it's windy, having a thing that you can brace yourself up against is extremely important, because there's one thing that I know, Adam, for sure. And do you know what that is? It's that if you fall off the boat into the water, you can't cast. And I have fallen off of the boat while tarpon fishing into the water, and the fish get scared when this specimen of a human being falls into the water off of a boat. But yeah, I was on Brandon's boat, and I stepped off of his casting platform. It wasn't even windy, so I can't blame the wind, but it wasn't even windy. Stepped off his casting platform onto the deck of the boat, and there was no deck there where I stepped. So I decided that I was gonna flail myself like a beached whale into the water, and the 3 tarpon that were really high and happy that were swimming right towards us decided that they weren't high and happy anymore when I hit the water. So but yeah, just having something like that is something that is extremely important. So again, let's just recap what we talked about. Positioning your body, positioning the boat so that the wind isn't blowing straight into your casting shoulder is extremely important. Or being able to back cast if the wind is and you can't do anything else. Because an into the wind shot is not nearly as hard as when the fly is being blown at your head. Because if you're throwing a fly that has big lead eyes on it and stuff, you really don't want that fly being blown at you so that it's now traveling directly over your head when you're trying to cast. Because most of the time you end up hitting yourself with that, and it doesn't feel great. But hitting the person on the back. So if it's a guide, then you feel bad. If it's just your brother or your buddy, then you laugh. But yeah, Branson did have a 2-600 SP go into his calf one time from me. So yeah, what? Just no, it was great. It wasn't great for him, but it was kind of funny. So so positioning your body, a little bit of a gear thing, having like a shorter headed fly line can help. But again, you don't need to change your gear for this. I think that the biggest thing would be, shoot more line in the wind, carry more line in the air when it's calm, using a little bit of a sparser fly, adjusting your leader setups and making your leader shorter, maybe using a hard monofilament material for that. And then line management is another thing. So there's a lot of products that help with line management. But also, one of the biggest tips that I've heard, and it's stuck with me forever, is and Adam has a bad habit of this, so I'm going to call Adam out. Don't kick your fly line into the boat. Like you swipe it with your foot. Like you're almost sweeping it into the boat, because that like twists it really bad, and then, then it's a nightmare. So don't do that. Pick it up and set the line down. But how I like to do it when I'm tarpon fishing, I don't really like a bucket. So what I'll do is I'll actually strip all of my line down inside the boat and then stand up on the front of the boat. So my line is inside the boat. It's not going to fall off the back and become a magnet for that. So if there's any questions. Yeah. So, okay. Are there any questions from anybody about maybe like gear setup or about anything that I do to help with windy conditions or calm conditions or anything like that? And there's sometimes, guys, that it's just so windy that like it just sucks, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and you try and survive, not thrive, but that is that. So last things to recap, again, 10% back in store credit now through the end of the year. We just got a big shipment of Everglades in 2 different colors, in aqua and in red. We did get some aqua Gulf Streams into the shop as well. Yes, I saw that.
40-pound butt section, suggested length.
Suggested length. So normal setup for me is I follow the 4-2-1-2 method for windy, if I'm throwing a 9-foot leader. So 4 feet of butt section. So if it's a 8 weight, then I use 4 feet of 40. And then I will use 2 feet of 20. Then I will use 1 foot of a class, or 1.5 feet of class. So the lightest point. So on an 8 weight, normally my leader setup, if I was going to throw a 9-foot leader, it'd be 4 feet of 40, 2 feet of 20, 15 inches or so of 10-pound, and then a foot to a 1.5 feet of whatever my bite section is. But that's for like windy conditions. I'm going to throw like a 9 or a 10-foot leader. My normal setup would be for like a 12-foot leader is I'll do like 5 feet of the butt section in 40-pound on 8 weight, and then I will do 2 or 2.5 feet of that 20-pound. So that's a 7.5 foot section, and then I'll do that 15-inch section of class, and then that 15-inch to 18-inch bite. So that kind of gives me that into that 12-foot margin. So that's my normal. So the 40-pound is basically anywhere from 4 to 5 feet. And then in my heavier stuff, like, once I get into a 9 weight or a 10 weight, I use 50. Once I get into the 11 or 12, I use 60. And, again, I don't use hard monofilament all the time for my whole leader, but it is a nice thing to be able to add on when it's windy. So. I got a new reel. Can I show them my new reel?
You gonna brag a little bit?
I don't know. You guys can see it. There, that's nice, right?
You gonna talk about it?
I just was gonna show them for a second. I got a moss grain Everglades.
Junk.
I traded. Look how cool that thing is.
That's getting weird.
I put it on the blue. I put it on the blue wrap NRX because they're both things you can't get anymore. So.
This is getting weird.
Why? Because I'm bragging about my.
No, just because you're like staring and just showing it awkwardly.
Well, I am awkward, but again, pick up a Christmas shirt, get 10% back on every purchase, and if you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to call the shop. And again, saw someone pop up on there, so.
Floridian Guide Co. I think we know him.
That is
What do you do about head out of the water bite followed by a trout set in the wind? Anything you can help with that?
So to my Greek friend, Captain Tommy Kaloris from Floridian Guide Co. So guys, if you are on the west coast of Florida and you want to catch tarpon on fly, don't call Tommy. I'm just kidding. Give Tommy a call, Floridian Guide Co. What would you say about a head out of the water bite on a tarpon and then a major trout set after the fact? I would say that if that happens to you, that shows your true love for the game. Because every year it seems to happen this way, like every year, okay? Like my first bite of the year, like the first tarpon of the year that tracks and comes up and eats the fly, like I'm shaking so bad and the heart's pounding, and my initial reaction is not to keep stripping, to come tight. It is to lift the rod. And so I wouldn't call it a trout set, Tommy. I would say that I straight Bill danced that fish and I just missed it. So, but that bite was special.
Wait
so
till you stick like a 170-pound fish like that.
yeah, that bite was special. So what would you say about that? I would say that shows how much it means to me, because it got me so worked up that I forgot everything that I knew, and I decided that I was going to trout set. So that's what I would say about that.
He said correct.
So yes, yeah, that is correct. So all right, thanks for joining us, guys. Again, anything you guys need, don't hesitate to call the shop. Any of us, all of us, whether it's myself, Branson, Andrew, Adam, Brandon, Dave, all of us fly fish, even though we also do the other things, okay? Some people might say we're not a proper fly shop because we sell spin and conventional gear too, but for those of you that say we're not a proper fly shop, then I don't care. So if you say I don't want to be a proper fly shop, then I don't want to be, then we're not a proper fly shop, then I don't want to be a proper fly shop, okay? Because you guys, if you come in and take a look at that reel case, it's I think it's pretty proper. So I will see you guys next week. If you have any suggestions or things you would like to see, please let us know. Don't forget to subscribe so you get to know when we're doing this. Do we have one last question before? Did something pop up?
Nope.
Or nope?
Just
all right.
Great show. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. So, all right. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.